Good morning, everyone. Good Shabbos. Today we are learning the fourth part of the Nedarim. The years the initials Aaron Nachman Simcha Cohen Yeshua Morchem and Shepsel Bracha Sabish Malev and Binah Moshe Ben Yosef. May the Neshamas will have an Aliyah and for Shlema for Yisov and Rachel Leah Rachel Bas Pesel Zelda Rachel Eliana Bas Yav Bracha Avram Yisuf Ben Risha Chai Bas the Bela for Shlema Besov Shachal Yisrael. And as a shefer bracha v'atzlacha to Tzvi Noach ben bracha Ruchalea, and for Zir Bekarov to Shmuel David ben Hinda Miriam. And as always, shout out to our sponsors of Seder Nashim, to the Imperial Advisory Group. If you need help with your CFO stuff, they are the best in the business. Reach out to them at imperialgrp.com. Okay, Perek, Dalid, here we go. Mishnah Aleph. This Perek is going to deal with someone who is ushered by a neder to have benefit from someone else. Okay, this is going to happen one of two ways. One is Reuben can say to Shimon that your benefit is forbidden to me. And the second one, where Shimon says to Reuven, is that my benefit is forbidden to you. In either case, Reuven may not have any benefit from Shimon's possessions. So, to make this a little bit clear, regardless of who made the neder, we shall refer to the person who is forbidden to receive the benefit as the mudar, and the one from whom the benefit is forbidden as the madir. So, ein bein hamudar hana mechaver. There's no difference between someone who is forbidden by a neder to have benefit from another, the mudar hemenu machul, and someone who is forbidden by a neder to have benefit that leads to food from another. Except that one who is also to have food-related benefit is allowed to set foot on the other's land and to borrow utensils that are not used for preparing food, while one who is forbidden to receive any benefit may not engage even in these activities. If someone is forbidden by a neder to have benefit that leads to food from another, the madir may not lend him a sifter, a sieve, a mill, or an oven, since all these items are used in preparing food. But he may lend them a shirt, a ring, a cloak, and earrings, and anything else that is not used for preparing food. However, in a place where people usually rent items like these, that they rent a shirt and a ring, etc., it is usher to lend even them, because with the money the muder saves by borrowing instead of renting them, he can buy food. Therefore, this is considered a benefit that leads to food, which is usher by the neder. Mishnah Beis. Hamuder hana mechaver. If someone is usher by a neder to have benefit from another, shokel as shiklo, the madir may pay the muder's annual half shekel donation to the base of Mikdash. Upareya is chovo, and if he owes someone money, the madir may pay his debt to the lender. In each of these cases, the madir is not giving him money directly, but paying a third party to spare him from a loss, which is mutter. But mapzilo is avidaso. The madir may also return his lost object, since he is simply giving back what already belonged to him. However, in the case where payment is usually taken for returning a lost object, tipo hanal the hektish, the benefit must be given to the treasury of the Beis Hamikdash. Mishnah Gimel. The madir may separate truma and meiser from the crops of the mudar with his permission. So we know we learned a few months ago back in Chumas that a person may not separate truma meiser from someone else's produce unless he has the owner's permission. So had the owner asked the Madu to separate these portions for him, and the Madu would not be allowed to do so because he would thus be giving the Muda pleasure by following his instructions. Rather, the owner announced that anyone has permission to separate Chuma and Meiser from his produce. This way, the Madu has necessary permission to separate them, but he's not directly obeying the Mudar, which would be forbidden. Rather, he's acting on his own, because everyone has rishus. Makriv alav kine zavim, kine zavos, kine yelados chatos v'shavos. If the madir is a kohen, he may bring offerings in the mikdash for him. For example, if the mudar needs to bring the pair of birds of zavim, of zavos, or women who have give birth, or chatas or asham offerings, the madir may offer any of these on his behalf. In performing the avoda in the mikdash, a kohen acts to fulfill the mitzvahs of Hashem, and not as a favor for the owner of the korban. Therefore, the madir is not considered to be giving the mudar any benefit. The Malanda Midrash Halachos V'Agados. The madir may teach him the Torah Shabbat Peh, which includes the explanation of Psukim, the halachas received at our Sinai, and a galata. Since it's also to take payment for teaching the Torah Shabbat Peh, the mother does not save the muda any money by teaching him for free. However, we may not teach him the written Torah, meaning the Chavdal Sifrei Tanakh, because one who teaches the Torah Shabbat is allowed to take payment. So by not charging him, then the madir benefits the mudar. Abba Malamed, who has banav benosa mikra. He may teach even the Torah Shabbat to the mudar's sons and daughters. The zan is ishtav as banav. The madir may feed and support the mudar's wife and children. Even though the mudar is obligated to pay for their food, this is like paying the mudar's debt, which is permitted, as we taught in the previous Mishnah. Lo yazun as behemto, but he may not feed the mudar's animal. Ben tamei ben tahor, whether it's a non-kosher animal or a kosher animal, even if the animal has already been fed its regular amount, the madir makes it fatter by bringing it extra, pushing it extra. And Eliezer says, "Zan es hatmei," he may feed the mudar's non-kosher animal. He knows zan es hatahora, but he may not feed his kosher animal. The Chachamim and Eliezer, they discussed the reasons for their opinions. Amrullah, the Chachamim said to Eliezer, "Ma ben tamei tahora." What is the difference between a non-kosher animal, which you say the madir may feed, and a kosher animal, which you say he may not feed? Surely the mudar receives benefit even when non-kosher animal is fed, since it gets fatter. And he said to them, the difference is that when a kosher animal is shechted, it's left the parts, but its body belongs to the mudar in that he may eat it. Therefore, the madir makes it fatter. If the madir makes it fatter, it benefits him, because there'll be more meat for him to eat. But when a non-kosher animal dies, both its life and its body depart, since the mudar will not eat it. This is a Jew. Therefore, the madir does not benefit him by making it fatter. Amrullah, the Chacham said back to him, even when a non-kosher animal dies, its life departs, but its body belongs to the mudar. Because if he wants, he can sell it to the idolaters or feed it to his dogs. Therefore, he does benefit if it becomes fatter, since there will be more meat to sell or feed to his dogs. It is therefore forbidden for the madir to feed even a non-kosher animal. Mishnah Dalet. Hamudar hana mechaveru. Someone forbidden by a neder to benefit from another, and then he becomes sick, and nichnas levakro, and the madir enters the mudar's home to visit him. Omeid aval lo yoshid. The madir may stand during the visit, but he may not sit. Why? But the law is that one may not take payment for visiting a sick person because it's a mitzvah. But one may be paid for sitting with a sick person, since in that case he stays because he stays for a while. Therefore, if the mother sits with him for free, does not charge him, he gives forbidden benefit to the mudar. However, if he stands and stays for only a short time, in which case he may not take payment, he does not provide any benefit to the mudar by doing so for free. Omar pe'eyu refus nefesh. And if the madir has medical knowledge, he may heal the mudar a healing of his body. Aval refus mama, but not a healing of his possessions. The madir may heal the mudar himself, but the main purpose is to fulfill the mitzvah of Bikkur Cholim and not to do him a favor. But the madir may not heal the mudar's animal because that would be doing a favor. You can have enough. The madir may bathe with him in a large bathing pool. I will love katana, but not in a small one. When the mudar is in a small pool of water and the madir gets in, the water level rises and covers more of his body. The madir thus causes him pleasure. In a large pool, however, the water will not rise enough to make a difference. The yashin ima b'mita. The madir may sleep with him in the same bed. Rabbi Yehuda says, that's mutter only during the summer. But not during the winter, because then the madir benefits the mutter by warming him up. The madir may recline together with him on the same couch to eat a meal, even in the winter, and we are not concerned that the madir might fall asleep next to the mutter and thereby keep him warm. The madir may eat with him at the same table, but we are not concerned that the madir will share his food with him. But they may not eat together from the same serving platter, because the madir might intentionally leave a sizable portion of food, but the mudar thus benefiting him. However, the madir may eat together with him from a serving platter that is passed around, meaning a platter that holds a very large amount of food, far more than the guests require. Therefore, even if the madir does not take any food from it, the mudar does not gain anything. If they work together, then the madir may not eat with him from the big bowl of food that's placed in front of all the workers. Although the bowl is large, it contains only just enough food for all the workers because workers eat a lot. We are concerned that the madir might deliberately leave a sizable portion of food from the mudar to take, as in the case of the regular serving platter that we talked about earlier. Lo yaseh ima be'uma. The madir may not work with him harvesting grain in the same row of the field, because when the madir cuts down some of the grain, it will clear space for the mudar to work more easily, thereby benefiting him. This is according to Rabbi Meir. The Chacham say, the madir may work in the same row if he is in a section that is far away from him, because then he will not benefit him directly. Mishnah Hey, Hamudar Hana V'Chaveru. Someone is usher by a neder to have benefit from another. Then the law regarding Shemitah is as follows: Lifnei Shvi is before the Shemitah year arrives. Lo Yoreh L'Sok Sadeh. He, the mudar, may not enter the madir's field because the mudar is not allowed to set foot on the madir's property. And he may not eat from fruit growing on tree branches that hang over the edge of the madir's field, even though he can reach them without walking into the field. Since the fruit belongs to the madir, it is usher to him. But with Shvius, during the Shemitah year, and a year with the Sok Sadehu, he may still not enter the mother's field, but he may eat fruit from growing on tree branches that hang over the edge of the field if he picks them without walking into the field. Fruit that grows on Shemitah is odorless and therefore not forbidden by the neder. Neder the owner of the field made a neder that the ashes the mudar to benefit from his food, but not any other benefit. Then the halacha is lifnei shvius before the Shemitah year arrives. Yovid l'sof he the mudar may enter the madir's field. It's only the madir's field food is asher to him, not his property. But he may not eat from the produce growing in the field. However, during the Shemitah year, Yorev Ochel enter the field and even eat the produce, since the produce is ownerless then. Mishnah Vav. Hamoder Hanam Chavero, someone is usher by a neder to have any benefit from another. Lo Yashilenu, Lo Yishlamimenu, that he, the muder, may not lend things to the madir or borrow things from him. Lo Yovenu, Lo Yovem Mimenu. He may not lend money to the madir or borrow money from him. Lo Yimker Lo, Lo Yikach Mimenu. He may not sell things to the madir or buy things from him. Borrowing and buying from the madir is clearly usher, as he may not receive any benefit from him. They also ushered lending and selling to the madir as well, out of concern that he might come to borrow or buy something from him in return. Amar lo hashileni parashcha. One person said to another, "Lend me your cow." Amar lo eina pnuya, and the owner of the cow replied to him, "It's not available." Amar kodem sadi shani choresh baliolim, and angry that he did not get the cow, the one who asked for it said, "My field is konam in regard to my ever plowing it with your cow." He said that he will never use that person's cow to plow his field. The owner of the cow then offers to lend it to him. The halacha is im hayed dark lachbash. If it was the mudar's practice to plow his field instead to plow his field himself, who asur chol adam mutar. He is asur to plow the field with the cow, but all of the people are mutter to do so for him. Because when he made the neder, he was presumably referring only to himself, since it is he who usually does his own plowing. However, if it is not his practice to plow his field himself, rather he usually hires workers to do so for him. Who b'chol adam asurin, he and all of the people are asur to plow his field with the cow. Since he does not plow the field himself, we assume that his neder referred to others. Mishnah Zayin. Hamuder hana mechaveru ve'en lo ma yochel. If someone is asur by a neder to have any benefit from another, but he is poor, he is so poor there's nothing to eat, the madir wants to help him, the madir may do as follows. Holech. He may go to the storekeeper from whom the mudar usually buys his food. Omer and say to him, Ish ploni mudar mimeni hana eno yodeya ma'es. So and so is asked by an edit that benefit from me, and I do not know what I can do to help him. But who knows to know? Taking the hint, the storekeeper may then give food to the mudar, ubav and then come and take payment for the food from the madir. Since the madir did not directly ask the storekeeper to provide the food, the storekeeper is doing it on his own, not on behalf of the madir. And this way, the benefit comes from the storekeeper, not the madir, and is therefore permitted. Haya Beisa Livnos Gudero Ligdor Sadeyu Lixor. If the mudar has a house to build, or a fence to put up, or a field to harvest, that does not have enough money to hire workers, and the madir wants to help him, the madir may do as follows. He may go to the workers who usually work for the mudar of Omer and say to them, the ish plani mudar mimeni hana v'eni yodea ma'as. So and so is ushered by a neder to have benefit from me, and I do not know what I can do to help him. Hein asin imo. taking the hint, they may do the job for him. And then come and take their wages from the Madir. And finally, Mishnah Ches. If the Mudar and the Madir were traveling on the road together, and the Mudar had nothing to eat, and the Madir wishes to give the Mudar some of his food, noticing the Achel, the Shum, Matana, that the Madir may give his food to another traveler as a gift, the Hala Mutarba. And the Mudar is then mutter to eat it, since the food no longer belongs to the Madir. If no one else is traveling with them, Maniach al Hasela or al Hagader, the Madir may put the food down on a rock or on a fence, and say, these items of food are hereby orderless and are available to anyone who wants them. And then the other one, the Mudar, may take the food and eat it, since it no longer belongs to the Madir. Rabbi Yossi Oser, Rabbi Yossi asks for provide the Mudar with food by declaring it ownerless. Since the Mudar is the only other person there to take it, it is as though the Madir is giving him the food directly. Thank you for joining us, and we'll continue on Sunday with Perek. Hey, have a wonderful Shabbos.